Hello again and welcome to Arch Eats. My name is George Mahey and with me is my buddy and dining companion,
Cheryl Bear.
This episode of Arch Eats is sponsored by Drunken Fish. It's the end of October and we had a beautiful first couple weeks, then it got a little cold, then it got warm again. Bottom line, we can't get off the patios. We can't get away from them. We can't stop thinking about them. So we thought we'd share just a little bit more information. We did a whole episode before on patios, but these today are going to be fall-friendly patios, the ones that comfort us and nurture us and cozy us and keep us there until the weather just gets brutal.
I wish we were broadcasting from one right now. That sounds so lovely.
And then we're going to talk about what restaurant owners can do to their patios to make them even more appealing. Because that is important too. It's one thing if you have them, and it's another thing if you promote them. But first, as always, it's what we can't stop thinking about. And I have a new restaurant alert.
Oh, I'm excited about this one.
It's called No Ordinary Rabbit. It just opened in Botanical Heights, and it's in the former Nixta space, owned by Steve Gontram, who most people know from Harvest and from Five Star Burgers, and his general manager and cocktail whiz, a guy named David Zitko. This place is cool. It just opened about a month ago. Probably hearing about it right now. I've heard a lot about it in the first couple weeks. The premise is lighter, healthier, shareable food. And that's what Steve Gontram has found himself eating more. And he just thought, we'll see if that appeals to the general public. And let me tell you, it's really, really good. You're going to find a lot of spreads and dippables, things like homemade hummus and muhammara, which is that roasted red pepper and walnut spread. But what is part of the draw there is this stuff he calls Moroccan fry bread.
Ooh.
It's a warm, tear apart, addictive bread. It's about a half an inch thick, crusty, but very, very light, lighter than pita. It's just an incredible, craveable vehicle for dipping.
You use it to dip. It's not just in its own right.
No. And I mean, it's really good. I think you're served one and you're going to want more. Other items on the menu there, they've got a za'atar spiced onion ring.
Za'atar is like my favorite seasoning right now.
And if you remember Steve's recipe, his onion ring batter recipe from Harvest, you could see through it. And this is the same batter with a little za'atar on there. Let me tell you, there's an order of onion rings on every table, and there should be. They've got other slightly larger items, but they still lean toward the small plate side. So they're priced in their 20s, which is really smart. And again, David Zitko is this bartending whiz, and he has infused the cocktails with harissa and za'atar and items like that.
That sounds interesting.
And the cocktails aren't expensive either. They're like $12. The wine isn't expensive. The food isn't expensive. It's just a really cool place. Decor-wise, a designer sourced some of the finishes, and Steve Gontram admitted that he sourced some on Etsy while sitting in bed in the middle of the night.
Oh, I love it,
and
as you do.
He goes, you Google rabbit lamps and all kinds of things pop up. Thank you, Steve, for the rabbit lamps. Thanks for No Ordinary Rabbit. It's in Botanical Heights, open for dinner only right now.
Well, it sounds like a fun spot. You're talking about somewhere that's new. I'm talking about somewhere that has been around for a little while, but I'd never been to it. It's called Taj Palace.
As long as it's new to you, then it's new to us.
Exactly. And I only found it because I tried to go to Black Salt on a Monday and they were closed. So I was definitely wanting some good Indian food. And I found this place. It's in Chesterfield Valley. Apparently, it's kind of a mainstay in the area. But again, I didn't know about it. And I thoroughly enjoyed everything I had there, but the thing that stands out to me are their vegetable samosas. They are so good. Sometimes I find samosas can be, the batter can be a little bit dense at times.
They're heavy and doughy. That's
These
what I don't
not.
like about it most of the time.
That is what's wonderful about these. Airy and fluffy and light, almost like you take a traditional samosa batter and then you marry that with a funnel cake. I mean, it's fluffy and they're flecked with herbs, filled with peas, spices, potatoes, just perfumes the air when you cut into it. Highly recommended. This place is a lot of fun. Go check it out. Or if you've been there a million times, like I have not, keep going to check it out because it's a wonderful spot.
Do they have a patio?
They do not have a patio, unfortunately. So it will be warming me from the inside, but not from the outside like some of the places.
We're going to spend this episode talking about fall patios. Some of them are heated, some of them are covered, some of them are shielded from the elements. And I just thought this would really be fun. Again, we're trying to limit this. We're going to do 5 of our favorites each, and we could have easily done 25.
Oh, goodness.
There's that many of them out there.
There's great ones.
We'll be right back.
Hey, sushi lovers. Did you hear that Drunken Fish just launched over 40 delicious new menu items? Savor teriyaki chicken nachos, miso marinated Chilean sea bass, a Caribbean roll, a steak churi hand roll, and more. Visit the locations in the Central West End, Westport Plaza, and Edwardsville today to try one of the new menu items for yourself. And here's a special offer just for our listeners. Use code ARCHEATS for 10% off new items when you order online. And if you're dining in, just mention Arch Eats to your server. This offer is valid until November 30th. Visit drunkenfish.com for more details. And now, back to the show.
I'm going to start, if I may, I'll just butt in like I often do. In the Del Mar Maker District is one of my favorite new restaurants called Esca.
Oh,
And not only does Esca do all their food beautifully, but they've got this really cool patio. And I wondered how that was going to work. I haven't experienced it yet, but I did see that they've got 3 of those monster gas heaters above.
just perfect.
And apparently it's as cozy as it can be. The walls, and I say that in quotation marks, have grapevines growing on them. And by this time next year, they'll be completely grapevined in and you'll have a little windbreak there. But if you can't get into the main room at Esca, you can probably get into the patio, which is what I do anyway while I can. It's just, this is an excellent Ben Paremba restaurant. I did find out something interesting about Esca coming next month, November. There's going to be, he's opened a 3-bedroom apartment above the restaurant called Extra.
Extra Esca.
See, that's
I can't even say it.
I couldn't either. I couldn't even say it.
Extra Esca.
Esca Extra. And it's a 3-bedroom apartment where you can spend the night, you can have a meeting, you can have a mini retreat, and then you can eat dinner downstairs at Esca. You can go across the street to his other restaurant called Florentin and have some lunch. It's just another cool subset of this restaurant that Ben Paremba did. He could have done anything up there, but he decided to do kind of an Airbnb-ish 3-bedroom apartment. And I can't wait to see it because knowing him, it's got all kinds of little Easter eggs and cool things up there.
That is so quintessentially Ben Paremba. I love it.
You call Ben Paremba, he's always got something up his sleeve. That's
Yes.
why I said, hey, what's new at Esca? And I found this out.
Oh, that's so fun. Well, and what I love about it is you are right on Del Mar Boulevard. So you would think it would not be as much of this oasis and garden-like serene setting, but it really is. And another one that kind of ticks that box is Taco Buddha. Now, I'm going to let you wax poetically about the Kirkwood location, which sits right on Manchester Road. So you would think you'd hear car noise and you'd just be exposed to the elements. But the way they have it sectioned off with this wooden wall, it's so private. It's so cozy back there. So I know you have fond thoughts about that one. But first, I want to just pay homage to the U City one. The University City, the original location. I love that patio. I remember going there when that restaurant was nothing more of like than a shotgun spot. And they had to put tables in the adjacent bike shop that was there at the time. And then they built this covered patio. It's so lovely. There are heaters out there that crank out so much heat. It is warm.
They've got, again, these are these overhead, like 15-foot long heaters that just blast it out.
It's cozy.
It's cozy, and it can get, it's like, can you open the windows almost because it gets really cozy.
Exactly. What I love about it, though, is it's not just the fact that you can sit there and have a nice meal and be warm. They have captured this New Mexico vibe. And one of my favorite places is Taos, New Mexico. And a lot of people think of that as being, oh, it's the desert. It's New Mexico. It must be warm. It's a mountain town. So there is something about this place that evokes that feeling from the wooden beams, the wooden tables. It's very rustic. the decor. It is like a little slice of Taos in St. Louis. I love it.
And that's the U City location, and the Kirkwood location, they really spent some time and money on.
Mhm.
And they have two patios there. One, like you said, faces Manchester. It's behind this kind of wooden slatted fence, and you just don't even know
You
that
wouldn't know
there's a
it.
little patio
Nope.
behind it. And they've got those pod heaters, those mushroom heaters, which are fine. But I didn't realize that instead of having those big propane tanks, these things are gas driven. They're like hardwired. So you don't there's nobody changing tanks in the
Yeah,
middle of your
or it's
dinner.
running out and
And I was talking to the general manager, and he said it is really, really warm out there. And he goes, you wouldn't think that at 40 degrees, he goes, there's people sitting out there and you think, what the heck are these people doing? It's really warm out there. I mean, these things crank out the heat. And that's the one patio. And the other one is similar to the other one that you were talking about. It's more enclosed. It's got
Mhm.
those overhead heaters, and it is on the east side of the building. So that's super cozy over there. So you've got double patios in Kirkwood at the new Taco Buddha, and it's a spectacular place, a really cool design. It's in an old Hardee's, and you'd never know that.
Yeah, an old Hardee's, that blows my mind, and I think what's so great about how hot those, heaters get is you can still have a frozen margarita in the middle of November, and it's all good
It's
out there.
wonderful, just
Yeah.
wonderful.
I'm going to go to an obvious place, but not obvious. I love the Boathouse in Forest Park. I think there is no more beautiful spot in St. Louis for outdoor dining. You are sitting there, you're overlooking the lake. It's stunning. But the reason I love it in the fall is for many reasons. I would say the first one is it's usually not as crowded as it is during the peak of summer. So you're not fighting people. You're not waiting for tables for 3 hours. You're not having your view of the lake obscured by 100 people waiting for boats. You'll still see some people, there's activity, but I find it to be a lot more of a peaceful atmosphere. Plus, you have the fall colors that are like sparkling against the
That's what
lake.
make
Oh,
you see the
just so
reflection of that. That's
beautiful.
worth it all by itself.
Yes, yes. And one of my pro tips of it, everyone thinks of it Saturdays, Sundays, we come there for lunch, but they are open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. Is there anything more beautiful than having breakfast on, let's say, if you have the luxury of working from home, or maybe you work a schedule outside of the 9 to 5 window there? You can go there for breakfast, and they do have heaters on that patio. So cozy up at the boathouse, soak it all in. I think it's just a beautiful fall experience.
Boathouse for breakfast.
Yes, they have corned beef hash, they have brisket and eggs, they have avocado toast, they have pancakes, they have a full breakfast menu.
We've got Boathouse for breakfast, and I'm going to go over to the Crow's Nest for a heavy metal brunch.
Oh, so fun. I
Okay.
love it.
And 4 years ago, over in Maplewood, the Crow's Nest put this massive patio on the back, and you
That's
don't see it from
huge.
the street. It's huge. There's eating on one side and kind of cocktailing on the other, and it was a game changer for their business for sure. Again, fun, and you have to know it's out there, or you'll never know it's out there. Uh, I love the deep fried deviled eggs that have the tomato jam on them.
Yes.
That's one thing. They've got a house roasted turkey that they put on a turkey club that's on Texas toast. It's about 5 inches tall.
Their turkey sandwich may be my favorite
It's
turkey
really good.
sandwich
It's
in
just
town.
the food's really good there. It's not
Yes.
expensive. They got a bacon wrapped meatloaf. Their mac and cheese has a big piece of fried hot honey
Mm.
chicken on it. Anyway, I just love the place. The patio's fun. And I just thought they were really smart marketing wise way back when somebody gave them a lousy review. I mean, they just said, this place is terrible, right? And
This
they
is funny.
piggybacked on it, and they put a little sandwich board out in front that said, see what everybody's complaining about.
I love it.
And their business just took off because that's all they needed to say. So they turned a negative Yelp review into a positive. And anyway, the heavy metal brunch is fun. They've got the decapitizers
Yes,
instead
I
of
love it.
appetizers.
I love it.
Just-
And one of my favorite things is they have a hash brown casserole that they top with Captain Crunch. I mean, what a fun thing. I thought I wasn't going to like it at first. I was like, oh, this is going to be too sweet. It's excellent. Excellent.
That place is so much fun. And that's on the side dish menu, which is they call a la carnage instead of a la carte.
That's-
Anyway, Crow's Nest in Maplewood. That patio, I think, is open all winter long because they've got the little drop down windows.
Yes.
And so it stays cozy as well. So let me stay in Maplewood. Right down the street is Pizza Champ,
Oh, yes.
which is just one, they've got excellent pizzas, 18-inch pizzas, monster sized pizzas with sourdough crust. But at Pizza Champ, and I said this from the get go, they don't have a dining room. Their patio is their dining room,
Mhm.
and that is it. And it's just this charming space. You can see it from the street. They sometimes drop that western facing window wall to kind of shield the wind. But otherwise, when it gets cold, they drop that window wall and it gets toasty in there. Apparently, they turn those heaters on right, in the morning and kind of let the place warm up. And then they can turn them off because otherwise it just gets too hot.
Yeah.
But anyway, Pizza Champ is wonderful in its own right. And the interesting news about that is since Burger Champ closed right up the street, now they've got that menu incorporated into Pizza Champ as well. So you can get the Champ burger and that great white cheddar jalapeno burger and those favorite shakes that everybody loves so much. And here's another thing that listeners should know about that they don't. At lunchtime over there, you can get a giant slice of pepperoni pizza and a half a Caesar salad for $9.
Oh, wow.
It's the best lunch deal in town and one of the highest quality lunches in town.
Wow, that's a steal.
That's a steal.
That's fantastic.
So that's Pizza Champ. Top that.
Well, I'm probably not going to top it with pizza, but I might top it in terms of the atmosphere. It's a place that's so beautiful. I took a picture of it and sent it to you on the spot because I was so blown away. And this is Bishop's Post in Chesterfield.
It looks like a resort. I said I
Yes.
want to move there right now.
Yes. You would never know that this patio exists. It's in the shadow of Chesterfield Mall. It's right off, what is that? Chesterfield Parkway. It kind of sits tucked down that road there, between the strip malls and between, where Chesterfield Mall used to be. And it's a good American restaurant. They do steaks, they do chops, they have a good smoked trout appetizer. They have good bacon wrapped smoked shrimp appetizer as well. Good cocktails. They have a nice whiskey list. But this patio is unbelievable. It's huge, first of all. And when I tell you there's a waterfall there, I do not mean one of those like little water features you see on a patio. I'm talking this thing is like a story and a half high. It sits on a hill and it trickles down and all around.
Yeah, this isn't
place.
a waterfall you buy at Home Depot on a Saturday.
No. This is the waterfall of our dreams that we wish we could have. But if someone put it in our house, it would be like $80,000 or something. And that's only part of this patio. They have a huge outdoor stone fireplace. They have this gorgeous rustic looking wood pavilion with heaters everywhere. They have couches surrounding fire pits. It is an outdoor oasis. It's worth the drive.
That's what I was going to
Yes.
call it.
Yes.
It is an oasis. And you you can approach it, I guess, from the side. But if you walk through the restaurant, you don't really see it
You have
until
no
you
idea
walk
it's
out
there.
that door and you go, whoa.
You're like, oh my gosh,
It's
is this place
spectacular.
for real? Resort is a great word for it. So I cannot recommend that one enough. Get a cocktail, get some small plates, just relax. You'll be transported miles away. So another one out west that I really love is Big Chief Roadhouse. Now, as a Wildwood resident, I guess I'm our resident Wildwood expert here. I look for restaurants. I look for places to go to out there. Sometimes I look and look and look. And I do find myself going to Big Chief quite a bit. They're a fun spot, just that classic American food. They have good burgers. They have really delicious wings. They've got a great pork steak.
Right.
I love their ribs that they do on Saturdays only. That's probably my favorite thing that they have out there. But they have a really nice covered back patio on the ground level that feels like an extension of the restaurant. I mean, heaters, it's totally covered with a hard top. They even have built-in booths out there. I mean, it really does feel like a restaurant itself. But the kicker of this place is their rooftop patio. And people are like, how does Big Chief have a rooftop patio? It's connected to their upstairs speakeasy, which opened not too long ago, which you enter behind a clock or a phone booth or I forgot what it was, but you walk up these narrow stairs, you enter this gorgeous historic room that has this stunning wooden bar, velvet couches, this whiskey and bourbon selection that goes on for days. And then they have off of that a little rooftop patio area that has some soft seating. It has a couple tables, a few fire pits up there. But the kicker is that they give you blankets so you can wrap
I
yourself
love
in
that.
blankets up there. It's just, it could not be more cozy. I just love being out there because you're looking out over the trees. It really feels like you're out in the middle of the country because you are in a way.
It's a mini road trip for a lot of
Yes.
St. Louisans. For you, you live out there,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
could
not that
walk
far away.
basically.
But
Yeah.
it's a charming find out in Wildwood
So cute.
for sure. I am going to drift back into the city and actually into the county. Let's call it the county.
Yeah, we'll get yelled at for that
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
will. I love the patio at Ferrado's.
Oh, yes.
They put this up a while ago, and at the time, I think they've got one of those louvered roofs that
Uh-huh.
opens and closes according to the elements. And at the time, I think it was the first or second one in town. So it's really cool because it keeps the sun out, it keeps the wind
Mhm.
out, it does everything you need it to do. And I mean, it's massive out there. It's most of their
Yeah.
restaurants. It's like 90 seats and it's open year round. There's a big bar out there. And I just love it. It always feels kind of like summertime out there. And this is Ferrado's, home of the thin crust pizza in town.
It's some of the best.
Yeah, I think it
It
is.
really
I mean, you
is.
want cracker crust pizza, this is the one for sure.
It's one of the originals for sure.
And I think it's the oldest pizza
It might
parlor.
be,
I think they
yes.
started serving pizzas in the 50s. Anyway, their pizzas are excellent. Their T-Ravs are excellent. I make a meal out of one of their large deluxe salads, which has a couple kinds of olives in it, and it's got Provel on it. It's a very St. Louis. And
Oh, I love it.
I St. Louis it up just a little bit more by adding some Volpe salami
Oh,
to
yeah,
it.
you do.
Split a salad, split one of their 14-inch pizzas, have a few beers, and you're out of there for $70.
Gosh,
I
that's
mean,
great.
it's just a really good time, really good meal. And again, these guys have been doing it for so long. They've got this gem polished.
It's such a classic. I love it. Another place that the building itself has been around for ages is Shay's Creole Smokehouse at the Old Millstream Inn. Now, I'm going to cheat here a little bit.
It sounds charming.
It's
just
so
right there.
charming. It's on Main Street in St. Charles. In the heart of that, think cobblestone and brick. There's actually a sawmill that it sits next to. There's a little creek. It's completely covered in trees. They have the twinkle lights hanging from the trees. Now, this is not a place that has heaters, but the reason I'm going to cheat and say this is a great one is because there's no more beautiful place to watch the fall colors and really feel immersed in the season than being down there because it kind of sits a little low.
It's below grade.
It is
So
below
when it's
grade.
windy up top, it's not windy
Yes.
down there.
And I'm going to, my daughter's preschool teacher used to say, there's no such thing as bad weather. There are just bad clothing choices for the weather. So bundle up, wear a sweater, maybe bring a poncho or something and get cozy. And then you can have Shay's delicious Creole and barbecue food. You're cozied up in a big sweater, sitting there under the trees, eating some of that gumbo. It doesn't get better than that.
Love it. I'm going to end with one of my favorite places over in the Demont neighborhood, and it's called Sasha's. And it was an interesting study in patios
Mhm.
because if you remember during COVID, they were one of the first folks to put up these little igloos. They had an upper deck, but they couldn't use it because the restaurant was closed. So then they had to open it with these igloos. Anyway, hats off to the owner for doubling down
Mhm.
and knowing what they needed to do to keep this patio going. They have a roof that extends and retracts in
Mhm.
30 seconds now. It keeps the elements out, keeps the electric heat in. They've got a shade that pulls down on the west side when the
Mhm.
sun gets horrible. They've really thought of everything. There's even a room up there that you can rent, which is just, again, you walk up to this roof and you go, wow, this is like a whole other restaurant up here. There's entertainment up there several nights a week. And this is interesting. And I know you don't even know this, Cheryl. There's a new general manager there,
Okay.
a guy by the name of Adam Ganau, the former chef and general
Oh.
manager at Achero
Yeah, that's a good
is
name.
now at Sasha's. I mean, this guy is a great operator, a great guy. People would come to Achero just to hang out
Yes.
with him because he's such a cool dude. Anyway, he's now at Sasha's on Demond. You'll find him downstairs and upstairs on the roof.
Wow. That is a good pro tip because anywhere he's at, the food is just going to be excellent as well. It's not just that service and that hospitality, but man, he knows food so well. The other thing I love about Sasha's, they too offer the blankets, which,
They do.
oh my gosh, to me, that's just one of those amenities where it doesn't cost too much for a restaurant owner to do, but it adds such a lovely touch that makes you feel so cozy.
And you drive by and you see people with the little blankets. There's a little chill in the air, but you know what? They got blankets. It
Yeah, it's
looks
so
okay. Let's
cuddly.
go.
Have a glass of wine,
A
cozy
couple.
up in a blanket. It's just great.
I got a couple quick hits before we go. Hats off to Katie's Pizza and Pasta Osteria. We don't have to talk about her food because we know she does that right, but she
Sure.
also does the atmosphere and her patios right. That Rock Hill patio is just amazing. You've got a covered room that's got those monster heaters. You've got an area that's got just umbrellas. You've got an area that's open to the elements. She's got it all there. And I really love the Ballpark Village location because I was there, I guess, when they first opened that little patio area, and it was like 40 degrees, and there were people sitting outside. And I literally walked by them. I go, aren't you guys cold? And they go, no, these monster heaters
Yeah.
above us, they were practically in their shirt sleeves when it was
Yeah,
40.
right.
You just don't realize it because these things are overhead. But anyway, Ballpark Village, great heaters at
Mhm.
Katie's. And there's another one, and this one, the clock is ticking. I might have talked about this before. Out at 801 Local, out in Frontenac,
Mhm.
they have a west-facing patio. Really nice when the sun's setting in the fall,
Ooh, lovely.
especially at happy hour, because again, you've got the setting sun. And I love to have a split a house salad, split the burger, and have half price glasses of wine at happy hour at 801 Local. Again, that patio will close in the wintertime. So get out there right now.
Yeah. Bowood. You can't sleep on
Oh,
Bowood.
oh, I
I
forgot
mean,
about that.
what a gorgeous way to spend a lovely sunny autumn day. That's one of my favorites. June's Breakfast and Patio, if you're headed out to the Metro East, that's such a fun little spot. Again, it's not necessarily like a heated patio, but just a fun, beautiful spot. Think farmhouse, think covered porch, fun spot. So many options, George.
So-
We could keep going.
So we
Yeah.
could go on and on about patios. And
We
we
have.
did. We did an
Yes.
article that had over 170 metro area patios.
Outrageous.
So if this wasn't enough for you folks, just check that article
Yes.
out. We also did 2 different patio episodes on Arch Eats before this one. Do we love patios or
We
what?
just can't get enough of them. I
Yeah.
mean, why would you choose to sit inside when you can enjoy the splendor?
And especially, we were taught during COVID, we learned during COVID that we could sit outside in the wintertime and have a really nice time.
Yes.
But here's what's bugging me, and this is the missed opportunity. This is today's micro rant. We talked before about bare bones patios and about how restaurant owners won't spend a few bucks to fix them up, so people don't go. It doesn't have any attraction from the curb. We said, hey, change that, spend a few bucks. But how about the restaurants that don't promote their patios, even when they are decked out?
Yeah.
You and I, you've taken some pictures. I've seen some photos of some patios that are just outstanding. All I have to see is that photo, and I will go to that patio. I'm surprised at how many restaurant owners don't put that on the website as a lure. It's a beacon. It will suck us in. Just do it. You know, show it in the fall, and show it in the summertime. But it's just too easy. And really now, it's a survival tactic. It's not just a necessity. It's a survival tactic. You have to do whatever you can to put people in the seats. So
It draws people in who maybe weren't thinking that that was the path they wanted to go down for dinner that day.
it's real simple. We're suckers for a pretty patio. We're suckers for a pretty room. Put more photos of your restaurant and your patio up there as well as the food. That's my pro tip for the day. Kind of a micro rant, but kind of a suggestion. It's money in the bank. Be sure to follow us and share with your friends. We always provide links in the show notes for everything you heard about today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow along on Instagram at St. Louis Mag. And feel free to give us a follow personally at George Mahey and Cheryl A. Bear.
If you loved what you heard, show us some love by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. And if you're hungry for even more content, you can subscribe to our dining newsletters for the freshest coverage on the local restaurant and culinary scene.
That's it for this week. Best dishes, and see you next time.